who's on assignment, and we've got an interesting peek at the issue of the nightclub industry here in Providence, and tied to it is the issues tied to the Board of Licenses. Golocal's reported on it endlessly, as so has other news organizations, about the violence, the crime, and really the issues related to the lack of enforcement. Sharon Steele's here, a noted real estate expert, but also head of the Jewelry District Association here in Providence. And this issue's just it's not going away, despite all the reporting, despite all the
Correct.
clear cases of malfeasance,
Correct.
despite the closures, the
Correct.
violence, and what's the fundamental problem here?
The fundamental problem is personnel.
Personnel where?
In the city, it starts at the Board of Licenses with the commissioners.
Yeah.
It obviously involves the city solicitor's office and the assistant city solicitors who are there to represent Providence.
Right.
And then we have a board council who is there to represent the commissioners.
Right.
And it goes on and on and on. But, you know, obviously from an administrative standpoint, it starts with the license administrator.
So talk a little bit about that. I mean, we've seen this. This has been an ongoing problem. I'm not sure, it's been worse. I don't know if it's getting more attention, but it seems like it's gotten worse in the past couple of years. And also, clear things that just didn't seem to be good ideas seem to get initial approval. Penthouse was one of those
That was a good one.
facilities. It's a story we broke. None of it made any sense. Didn't make sense what the facility, what the plan was, what the type of entertainment, where it was located. It was a train wreck waiting to happen, which has happened. And there've been, within the proximity, a number of shootings, and including people being severely injured in that case. Is there just no common sense at one degree? I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that that's not the place for that establishment. And I'm not sure that we need that establishment anywhere in Providence, but clearly not there.
Well, it starts with, obviously, we have studied this issue to death, whether it's the Pine Report or the
Right.
Blum-Shapiro report.
So let's talk about the Pine Report just for 1 second so
Okay.
everybody understands it. The city council hired former Rhode Island Attorney General Jeff Pine to come in and look at this issue and the problems. He was paid significant sum, came back with a very detailed report.
Correct.
Everybody didn't necessarily agree with all aspects of his recommendations, but they were forward-thinking, they were reform-oriented, and that report went
Nowhere.
absolutely nowhere.
Right, because the bottom line is you can do as many studies as you want. If you are not of the mindset to enforce all of this information that has been given to us ad nauseum, it sort of is the definition of insanity.
But let's just go back to it.
Okay.
He was hired by the city council.
Mhm.
The city council makes the laws in the city. The city council can make whatever decisions, they can control the budget, they can make staffing decisions. Why were, most of those things were legislative recommendations. Some of them were administrative, but why weren't city council people who talk about those actually didn't do anything? And they've yet to do anything. They have committee powers, they have subpoena powers, there have been no hearings on the Pine Report. Why aren't they holding hearings?
Okay, in fairness, there was a Muni-Ops committee that I participated in for, let's just say, 2 years.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it comes down to politics, because those people,
Who's those people?
the city council,
Okay.
the mayor, anyone who is appointed, elected,
Yep.
those people have to worry about basically their jobs.
Mhm.
Okay, so at the end of the day,
But let me just tell you, we don't get a lot of public contacting us saying that club owners that have been shut down are being treated unfairly. Once in a while we will, but for the most part, people are like, why is there no enforcement? Why is there no regulation? Why isn't the city doing anything? So I just want to go back to that. Former Attorney General comes back with ideas. Why isn't the city council taking action?
okay, so the city council, as I understand it, yes, can control the purse, but in fact, they can't control appointments. So
They can veto them.
Yeah, that's if you have 10 votes.
No.
Well,
No, you need 8 to pass.
right.
So it's a no-go.
That's to overturn a veto. Okay.
It's not a veto. You're just turning them down.
I totally get it. Let me give you a perfect example.
Sure.
There are now, let's say, officially still 2 vacancies. Okay. The mayor makes a recommendation, has to go before the finance committee,
Right.
not once but twice.
Right.
Okay. Recently, 2 of these people went before the finance committee. Finance committee, 5 people. Okay. Pass them on to the full council.
Yeah.
Full council passes them on.
Approves them.
Approves them.
Yeah.
Approves them. Now, certain city council people got up and spoke eloquently why certain of those people should not have been reappointed. I and other members from the public also spoke about why certain people should not have been reappointed rather.
Okay, who are those people? We're a news organization.
Well,
who are the 2?
the 2 in question,
Yeah.
one was a fresh appointment.
Yeah.
His name is Peter Mancini.
Yeah.
He is, from what I understand, retired, did
Yeah.
not know him before, but apparently was at one point on the city council
Yep.
and the president of the city council.
Correct.
Okay. The other person is Delia Rodriguez Mechuan, and I'm probably mispronouncing it, but she is on, I'm pretty sure, her 3rd rotation of this. 3 years ago, I spoke against her
Being
at her last reappointment. Okay. So, here's what it comes down to. If you look at the 12 maybe worst cases in the last 12 months,
Yeah.
okay, we asked the administrator's office to come up literally with the files that showed what the voting record was of the specific commissioners on those cases. Okay, guess what? Couldn't come up with those records. Okay, so that gives you a sense of the level of disarray of the files in the administrator's office.
Yeah.
Okay, so had we had that, now I have my own records, I go to most of those
I'm bringing
hearings.
you back over here.
I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah,
so
you
sorry.
drift away.
I'm sorry for drifting. Anyway, but the reality is that if you go back to the Penthouse case, which is a really, really good one to use
It's
as an example.
simple as can be.
It was simple as can be. Why was it simple? Because here is a guy who came in, who had previously been the manager of Club Love, where there was violence, where it had been shut down. Now he leases a venue on South Water Street, the entire building, okay,
Yep.
comes in for an entertainment license.
And is granted.
Wait, which the police recommended be denied.
Right.
Okay, and what do the commissioners do? They make a motion and a second, and the people in question did that.
All right, so I want to break down some of these issues because we're kind of going from venue to venue for a
Okay.
second. City council. Are any of the members of the city council adamantly fighting for more controls over these different venues? Is there a consistent group of members of the city council that people can look to for leadership, and correspondingly those who are not, put pressure on them to understand? Because we understand that, you know, everybody's sort of galvanized and the political power of the city is on the east side, but this isn't the only neighborhood that's
Correct.
suffering through. Now, there's some places in which a club does not have much impact from a nightly standpoint, may not be well run, may have crime, but it doesn't have an impact on its neighbors per se.
Quality of life.
Quality of life. You know, Allen's Avenue has been sort of designated,
Correct.
you know, whatever you want to call it, the free zone of whatever goes on. And it doesn't impact people's lives. They're not woken
Correct.
up in the middle of the night. But a lot of other neighborhoods are. So are there members of the council who are fighting the good fight? And are there members of the council who just aren't listening to anybody?
Let's just say that my experience has been that the members of the council who are willing to stand up for their constituents and the city of Providence are few and far between.
Okay.
Plain and simple.
Okay.
And it's the old you can't legislate morality.
Yeah.
So the only way we fix this is if we can't fix it that way, we have to go back and fix it starting with the people who are literally on the board
Yeah.
making the decisions. That is what we have been trying to do literally
So
for the
the
last
mayor,
half dozen years.
so I'm just going to let's take it back to City Hall. The mayor
Okay.
does not seem to hear these comments, doesn't seem to hear these voices, generally doesn't comment when asked for comment from this news organization and others, does not seem to be outraged. rarely sends a representative of the mayor's office, if ever, into those hearings to make a point. That's fairly unheard of. Most mayors, if they thought that one of these operations, they'd go right down. Some cities, mayors go right down and testify on these issues. So we've got an apathetic, is that the right word? Apathetic city council?
No, I would not paint them all with the same brush. I would say some of them are apathetic. And remember, some of them, these things just don't happen in their neighborhoods, in fairness. So there are city council people who do not face this day in and day out, whereas there are others, Federal Hill, Fox Point, Jewelry District, downtown, go through the list, you know, the
Absolutely.
East Side, the
Broad
Street, okay, over and over again. It's the same neighborhoods and it's the same small group of offenders who continue to offend, who are using our resources. And believe me, it's not because the police do not care and do not go out of their way to try to control the situation. They have zero support.
Right, so the police, the last thing a police officer wants to do is go get in the middle of a fight outside of a club and be shot.
Correct.
I mean, 100%. Nor do they want the complaints from the neighborhood. So let's just go back a little bit. What's your suggestion on next step? I mean, I got to tell you, from a city council standpoint, I think only one time can I think of any council member sending out a press release or sending out an opinion piece to us. I mean, we must get, I don't know, 400, 500 opinion pieces a year, and I can't think of any council member speaking out about this. Oftentimes, they're afraid to speak out or unwilling to, or whatever the tie-in. What's the most important thing the public should know? Where should they put their pressure on to really effectuate change?
The mayor. This is all about grassroots. Okay, I spoke at the College Hill Neighborhood Association. We, as neighborhoods, have gotten together to try to make these changes. Okay, the bottom line is this is an election year.
Right.
Okay, one would hope that if ever we can have some impact, it would be now. And it is not too late to impact those appointments for this year. It's not over till it's over.
So let's talk about that. Are you talking to individual council members trying to sway their vote?
All the time.
Right. And then on the mayor's side, last night, the teachers union packed City Hall for the state of the city, shouted him down, got a boycott from the Senate president and Senator Mary Ellen Goodwin. Representative John Lombardi boycotted the state of the city. He's a potential mayoral candidate. Are you starting to get, the teachers generated some support, are you starting to build some support from not only other neighborhood association groups, which have tremendous power, being a former city councilman? The last thing you want to do is cross swords with your neighborhood groups within your ward. Is that starting to impact the mayor's perception of what his administration is doing?
Josh, I would like to tell you that it has, but given the fact that if we just look at the recent reappointments and appointments, and from what I understand, there's another appointment soon to be made for someone who apparently is right out of law school, no business experience, no institutional knowledge, no nothing, okay? If you continue to do the same thing and expect a different result, I think we'll be sorely disappointed. We can't seem to get across to the mayor that economic development and violence are mutually exclusive.
Well, the penthouse not only made no sense for the purposes of being in one of the most historic areas, in an area that the city over 50 years has poured hundreds of millions of dollars into historic preservation, but go right across the backside of their parking lot. That's 195. We've only spent $8 billion in public funds to resurrect that and create that as the economic engine. I don't think Google, Amazon, Apple want to open up a campus in Providence, Rhode Island when there's a shooting on any given random night, when you're running your staff 24/7, 7 days a week, and people are coding till 2 o'clock in the morning on any given evening, weekend, or weekday. That's the kind of environment that they want to put their workforce in.
Correct, okay? I do a lot of work with the I-195 Commission. Fought fiercely, as you know, for the pedestrian bridge.
Absolutely.
Finally got it funded, okay? Park is next. Okay, we, the stakeholders, are invested. Brown University actually wrote a letter on the penthouse issue. Do you know how difficult it is to get an institution to literally go public that way?
Right.
That is the level of concern and disgust that we have right now, given what's going on in the city.
Well, listen, keep up the great fight. I appreciate you coming in. I would like you to keep coming back in and keep us up to date on a regular basis and let us know how we can get messages out. And when you send those joint letters from Neighborhood Association, CC us and we'll be sure to take a look at those.
Terrific, Josh.
Okay, Sharon, thank you as always. One of the strongest advocates for the city of Providence. Guru, you are an unpaid position.
You bet.
This is just a person who's passionate about Providence. We appreciate Sharon Steele coming in. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We had food, we had DC politics, we've got Providence politics, and we've got nice things going on trying to improve schools in Rhode Island. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Tomorrow is Thursday. We've got Molly O'Brien at 3 o'clock and Kate Nagel coming in at 4 o'clock. We'll also have a big celebration tomorrow, and we'll let you know about that in the morning e-blast. Thanks everybody tuning out from the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Josh Fenton.